Ify, Jake, thank you so much for coming and talking to Tech Raptor today. We're going to be talking about Never Stop Blowing Up. The last episode just came out, so there is plenty to talk about. That was an absolutely insane finale.
Oh yeah.
So to kind of get it all started off, I want to ask you guys, what kind of primer did you get going into this story for just how bombastic it would likely get?
Um, like I got I yeah, I so I've done this is like my third D20 season. This is my second with Brennan and even Bloodkeep. Brennan does a good job of starting it out before like our session zero. He does like a long spiel about the world of the game. He has like a soundtrack to it. You get like really drawn in, and that I really appreciate it. It's changed how I do just even home games. So I think, yeah, any like I was locked in from the jump, and I kind of got the spiel just simply from hearing the way that from hearing that spiel. But I'm curious what you felt, especially as your first season, doggy.
I think I was like, sort of really nervous because of the monolith that is D20 and the dome. So I think I was very much like, I need to know as much as possible, and I need you to like tell me the data and stuff. And Brennan's just like the best one there is, and he was so good at kind of just being like, I know you as an improviser, here's what you do as an improviser, and here's how you're going to transfer that to the dome and be successful. And so he just imbued a lot of confidence, and it was just like, this is the ultimate yes and season. So like, go big, go crazy. And that's like, you're here because you're big and crazy, so go big, go crazy. And that
Yeah.
was kind of all I really needed, was like, we trust you to be you and bring your comedy in. And then the rest is just listening. It's just listening to him and being like, okay, this is the world. Great. Don't muck it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we had all kinds of crazy assassination attempts and attacks and gun fingers and becoming the DM multiple times. Was there any point where you felt you said something and you were like almost afraid that you'd gone too far?
No,
Never.
no. Yeah. As the GM, like Brendan was yes anding on a level like you would say some like I think we were trying to preemptively be like, oh, that might be too much. And he was like, no, let it rip. So yeah, I was
Yeah, I
locked.
feel like kind of early on, we were all like brake checking a little
Hmm.
bit. And I think as soon as I was like, my car drives into like a pre-established hangar that a secret society owns and becomes a plane, and that worked, and he didn't say like, well, why?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can do whatever, I can have
Yeah,
like,
the sky is beans now. The
yeah,
yeah, yeah, beans are
yes,
the
yeah.
sky. After that, yeah, you were ready to rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up with a Super Saiyan and a Gundam mech in the finale. So you guys, I loved how far you guys went and how much you showed your nerd as well.
Oh, look, if there's one thing that I always have, it's something nerdy in reach at all times. If I reach to my left, I have this whole magazine of a Gundam catalog, right
Hell
there.
yeah.
Boom. If I reach to my right, oh, what? There's a bunch of fountain pens because I'm nerdy about that. And under that is a copy of Gantz. So, it's
Hell yeah.
always in me, on me, in my brain.
And I mean, Jacob's calling in from the valley in Howl's Moving Castle, so
Yeah. See,
We're
not a
calling
lot of
out the
people would have caught
vibes,
that.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
I
caught
know
that.
my field of flowers
Yeah,
beautifully.
yeah.
Yes.
So Jacob, I did want to, definitely your first time in the dome. What kind of
Mhm.
prior experience with TTRPGs have you had?
Not a ton. I definitely was like a late adopter in that world. I think uh up until this I had done um like maybe four-ish home games. Like one of which was like very long standing, and
Mhm.
like a core group of people who did figure out like, great, we can do this like actually every other week for like a little over a year. And then, so I had 2 different friend groups. Like one was an improvised, like group of improvisers, and one was like a home game with some of my like hometown buddies. And I did those, probably like sparingly between 26-ish, 27-ish into the pandemic. And other than that, like Oyama is a good friend of mine, Zach Oyama, and he was the first one to be like, do you want to try and do this for entertainment? And he has got a great podcast called The Rotating Heroes.
Yes.
Where he at the specific time I was doing it, he GMs and has a rotating cast of people that come in, and one character stays and then 2 new characters come in. So you're always kind of following one familiar character. And he had me come in and do a couple arcs of his podcast, and I played a weird Luxodon druid, and I just really had a good time. And I think that was like my first exposure to being like, hey, you're going to get like 12 hours of gameplay in a really small period of time, and you have to make a beginning and an end of a story. Where with the home games, you're hoping that they go on forever and that you become level 20 and that you're like talking to God and demons or whatever. So that was my first exposure, and I'm very thankful for him to give me that moment of like, in a very like safe, it's recorded, but you're not like on camera. It's a little different. So yeah, not a ton, you know what I mean? Like, I think especially like when I look around the table, I feel like I'm the baby, I've got the least amount of hours in this.
But you crushed it.
I had fun. I was taken care of by great people. You know what I mean?
In the epilogue, we got to see Wendell and Dang have their happy ending, their lives influenced by the lessons learned by Vic Ethanol and Greg Stocks. But I want to ask, on the flip side, what takeaways do you think that their movie characters would have had after spending time with Wendell and Dang?
Oh man, I think
that's a good question.
That's a really good question. And I feel like mine at least would be that, Vic would realize that he needs to get a better grasp on what, La Familia actually means. That maybe if he truly wants to respect La Familia, that he needs to consider what they might want and not have just this unending desire to win everything and no matter what, just throw everything at the wall. Like it was really cool seeing everyone kind of like gather almost the message I was trying to teach Wendell with his interaction with Vic Ethanol.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I think like Greg would probably take away that like it's okay to unbutton the cufflinks and like maybe loosen up the bow tie a bit, and that like maybe stumbling into a solution could yield positive results as well.
Yes.
Like kind of, living a little more on the instinct or the like that, neurodivergent, like, ooh, shiny object, follow that brain, as opposed to like, there's a plan and I've been told, and like the people are on the intercom and I will do as told,
Yeah.
He could become a little more loosey-goosey.
I like that.
Awesome. And then last question, this one's for you, Ify. You got a great reaction from the table the first time your characters spoke with one another in the mirror. What inspired you to have this be a core dynamic of your character?
Essentially with this, I was just playing improv at the table with a bunch of my these are some of the best improvisers, I would say, in the world. And, the improv teaches us to yes and, but also heighten and do things differently. And I think, after seeing everyone kind of have the kind of same kind of fish out of water approach to it, I was like, okay, I want to do what they're doing, but in a like slightly different way. What's a way I can play this in a way that, highlights the coolness of what they're doing, but also adds like another flavor to it.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to chat with us.